Good morning Year 4 and welcome back to Monday's Comprehension and Literacy lesson. Welcome back. I hope you've all had a lovely half term. I just want to say thank you to all of the parents, all of the grandparents, brothers and sisters that all have been helping us at home. I know it's different doing your home learning outside of the classroom, but you've all been working so hard. So I hope we can continue this and continue to be sand and rock this term before you do return to school. Okay, so let's have a look at our starter for today. So we've got our SPAG starter, which is our spelling, punctuation and grammar. So let's have a look at our spelling starter for today. You need to have a read of my sentence and I'll read it to you, but I want you to spot my spelling error. Okay, so this is my sentence for today. Sam doesn't like burgers. Okay, so have a look at those words. Are they all spelt correctly? Sam doesn't like burgers. Now I can spot a spelling mistake. Before I get my pink pen out, think for yourself, can you spot it before I write it? So I'm going to put SP right above the word like, because that is not how we spell like. Like has a split digraph and it has the I sound, which is made by using a letter I and a letter E. However, they are split, so it's a split digraph, and let's show you how to correct that spelling error on the board. So we've got L-I-K-E. You can see that this is a split digraph because the I sound is put outside of the K. So you've got the I and the E. So Sam doesn't like burgers. That's my spelling starter done for today. Now let's move on to my punctuation. So can you identify where the missing punctuation needs to go? I'm going to read the sentence to you, listen carefully for where I stop and pause and see where you can spot where my missing punctuation needs to go. The long iron boat carried hundreds of passengers. The long iron boat carried lots of passengers. Where is my missing punctuation there? Now I've got my capital letter at the start of the sentence, which is fantastic. I've got my full stop at the end of my sentence, brilliant. I am missing something over here. Now let's think back to when we were looking at expanded noun phrases in our literacy. An expanded noun phrase is made up of two adjectives and a noun. Where are my two adjectives and noun in here? The long iron boat. Long, iron are my adjectives, boat is the noun. And I need some punctuation to split them two adjectives apart, don't I? What do I need you for? I need a comma. So well done if you got that at home. I'm going to put a P just in between long and iron, and I'm going to put my comma in there as well. So I've now corrected the sentence so it does read correctly. The long iron boat carried hundreds of passengers. Well done if you spotted that mistake before I wrote it on the board. Okay, so let's now move on to our final section of today's starter, which is grammar. I want you to now identify the conjunction in this sentence. So remember, a conjunction links two main clauses or two sentences together, such as and. Which is my conjunction in here? Because I haven't used and, I've used a different conjunction. I'll read it to you, see if you can spot it before I do. It was getting late, so they went to bed. It was getting late, so they went to bed. I've got two main clauses there, and a main clause is a sentence that would make sense on its own. It was getting late is a main clause. They went to bed is also a main clause. Now I've used something to link these two main clauses together, which is my conjunction, and hopefully you've noticed at home it is so. So is my conjunction. It has linked the two main clauses together. If you got all of those correct at home, big thumbs up and well done. Now let's have a look at our learning question for today. So today we are going to be answering retrieval comprehension questions. You will need your comprehension book, and today's learning is going to be on pages 6 and 7. So we need to be looking at these two pages here, which is Pioneer Children. Okay, and those are the questions on the back which you need to answer. Now I'm going to read you the introduction and then we're going to have a quick look at my own glossary that I've made for when you begin to read the rest of the text yourself. Hopefully these words will make much more sense to you. Okay. During the 19th century, Queen Victoria ruled the British Empire. The British Empire was made up of dozens of overseas countries and territories, including Canada, Australia and New Zealand. Some British families emigrated to other parts of the world to start their new lives. Okay, so we're talking about the British Embassy and emigrating to new countries. So let's have a look at my glossary that I have made for us. These are some unfamiliar terms that you are probably not used to seeing, so when you do come to read the rest of the extract, I want you to be able to know and understand these words and how they are pronounced. So we're first going to come off to the British Empire. Okay, so the British Empire was countries which were not in Britain at the time. They were overseas, so they were different countries in the world, but they were taken over by Queen Victoria. So the British Empire was different countries overseas, but they were ruled by Britain. Okay, so we've got this one. Oh, let's go off there. So I'm going to put countries ruled by Britain. Okay, so they can be countries overseas, but they were ruled by Britain. Next, we're going to come on to this word here. And we say this is a colony. Okay, so when you see the word colony in your text, a colony is a group of people that have moved from one country to another. Okay, so it's a big group of people that have moved to one country to another. Okay, so I'm going to put group of people. Okay, and those group of people will also, if we talk about a colony from the British Empire, they would follow the same rules as they have done in their old country. Now we're going to come on to our third word, and we say this as emigrate. Okay, so to emigrate means to leave your home country where you were born and to move to another country. That doesn't mean that it has to be within the British Empire. You can emigrate to different countries over the world. So it's to move from your home country to another country. Okay, so you move to a different country and settle there. So that is what we mean by emigrate. And the next one is a voyage. A voyage is another word to travel. So I'm just going to put travel. So if you are going on a voyage, it means that you are travelling. So I'm just going to put to travel. So let's just recap those 4 key words before you go on to read your text. We've got the British Empire. Those are countries which are under rule by Britain, and they can be countries that are overseas as well. A colony is a large group of people that move from one country to another and they follow the same rules. Emigrate means to move from your home country to another country and to start a new life there. And a voyage means to travel. So when you come to read your book now, or the extract that you've got inside your book, I just want you to take into account the meanings of those words before we move on to the teach. So now you're going to get your work and you are going to read through the rest of the text, and then we're going to recap some key information ready for when you are going to answer the questions. Okay, so hopefully you have read all of the text now, and it's telling you all about the British Empire and how the children move from one country to another. Now behind me I've got a world map, so let's have a look. This is all of the countries in the world, and the ones that I have highlighted here are the countries that were taken over by the British Empire. So you can see that we've got the United Kingdom here. That's where we are located on the map. Now there was also Canada mentioned in the text. So Canada, there we go, is from the North America, and you can see that that's quite high up towards the northern hemisphere. So Canada was another place where people and families would emigrate to start a new life. You've also got Australia, which was mentioned in the text. Can you spot Australia on that world map? Can you spot where Australia is? So Australia is this country here. So you've got Australia, New Zealand is just off, it's the island that comes off Australia. So these are all countries that were taken over by the British Empire. So you can see that these are the places where people used to travel. So when we come to think about the text, we're going to think about who was it that emigrated. So it was families, wasn't it? Sometimes it was just children and the families would have to meet them there later on, but their main priority was keeping the children safe in another country. What does it mean to emigrate? So we know that to emigrate, it means to move from one country to another. When did this happen? So if you go into your text, this happened between the 1900s. Where did they travel to? So we had a look on the map, didn't we? So where did they travel to? There were different countries part of the British Empire that they would emigrate to. And why? Sometimes it would be to have a better quality of life. So these are some questions that are going to be in your comprehension questions in your book that you will need to answer. Now just to look behind me, I've got two words written here, which is fiction and non-fiction. We've got to think about this text. So it's supplying us with facts, it's giving us information. It is a non-chronological report. So we've got to think, is this fiction? Is it made up? Is it stories? Or is it factual? And if you think that it is factual, then it's going to be a non-fiction. Hopefully this has helped you for when you come on to some of the questions. Now the final question in your text today is going to be personal to each and every one of you that are watching this video, and it's asking how you would feel if you were emigrated to another country. You might have different mixed feelings. You might be scared, nervous, excited. It did mention that the children would see new animals that they've never seen before, which is also quite exciting. So you've got to think about how you would feel if you were emigrated over to another country. Thinking about the journey, if you're going on large ships onto the journey, is it going to be cramped? Are you going to feel seasick? How are you going to feel? Or are you excited for living a new life in a different type of climate? Okay, so when you have finished, everybody, remember to send all of your work into the Year 4 email address. I'll have a look through and I'll provide you with some feedback. Good luck, everybody, and well done. So now we come on to my challenge. So we've got our challenge for today, Miss Chaff's challenge. If you want to take part, you can do this by just emailing in your response to the Year 4 email address, and I'll pick out a few examples for tomorrow. When you do send your responses in, you don't have to wait until you've done all of your work. If you want to send your response in now, that's also fine. So let's have a look at Miss Chaff's challenge for today. Would you like to have emigrated to a country within the British Empire? If so, which country and why? Okay, so we've got to think about what were those countries. Shall we have a check on our world map to see which countries were part of the British Empire? So my question to you is, would you like to have emigrated to one of these countries? So you can see we've got South Africa, we've got India, we've got Australia, Singapore, Canada. So would you like to have emigrated and to have grown up in one of these countries? Which one would you have wanted to choose and why? So I want to see all of your responses come in, and good luck everybody, and I will see you tomorrow.